Biblical archaeology is literally where heaven and earth meet. How can the religious faith of archaeology researchers influence their objectivity? This is the basis of sensationalist criticisms, claiming that Jews have a conflict of interest in how they interpret biblical artifacts. There's a specific branch of Near Eastern archaeology that applies to artifacts, sites, features, and structures mentioned in or related to the Bible. Early archaeological origins and efforts were aimed at locating ancient sites mentioned in written accounts, such as the Bible and the Iliad. The goal was, and still is, to separate the fact from the fiction. Biblical archaeology can be seen as a legacy of its founder, Edward Robinson's interests, who combined the odd couple of disciplines in theology and science, according to T.W. Davis in The Shifting Sands. Can we, as archaeology students, assume the conclusions of biblical archaeologists are arrived at objectively, or is sensationalism rampant within the field of biblical archaeology? I've included Michelangelo's image of Moses because I like his horns, and because searches for the true Mount Sinai have been a historical quest of biblioarchaeologists outside of Jerusalem. The era of David and his son Solomon lay on the cusp of recorded history. In fact, the very facts of David and his son Solomon existing as historical monarchs is still hotly debated by archaeologists and historians today. Solomon the Wise was king like his father David before him. Solomon was another semi-historic mythical ruler of Judea who is credited with building the great temple of Jerusalem, according to tradition. Is biblical archaeology its own unique field? According to Lynn Meskel, the focus of biblical archaeology on appreciation for the Bible causes it to serve a different social function than other methods of archaeology. The site of Solomon's temple in Jerusalem is claimed and coveted by the three major monotheistic religions of Christianity, Islam, and Judaism as a religious capital. All three faiths have also sought and held political control of the region at separate times. Anti-Semitic propaganda from various European and Arab nations has attempted to discount modern Jewish claims of biblical ancestry and historical occupation of the Promised Land. How would historically undeniable evidence of King David and/or King Solomon be used politically, possibly to gain international support for rebuilding of the Third Temple? It is the influence of personal perspectives which cause our human observations to be formulated subjectively. To avoid holding any ethnocentric perspectives has been a universal goal of anthropology in the last several decades. Why are biblical archaeologists being increasingly placed under an academic microscope? Well, there are portions of the Bible which are simply not scientifically reasonable or believable. So how much of the Bible is historically accurate and how much is religious propaganda? Here lay the essence of the debate. There are many accusations of sensationalism surrounding all newly published research findings of proposed biblical artifacts. For critics and skeptics of the Bible, it is hard to come to terms with any portion of a work they have dismissed as allegorical being verified through archaeology. Israel Finkelstein has rebelled against traditional chronologies in downplaying the role of David as solidifying a unified kingdom. Finkelstein argues for a separate northern kingdom prior to the rise of King David. Peer review of the Forgotten Kingdom was not cordial. Finkelstein is accused of manufacturing results from sites he excavated himself to support his theories unethically. Ethnic and political tension in modern Israel has led archaeology researchers to draw sides linguistically. Any research which consistently refers to the area as Israel or Palestine is politically loaded in its content. Theological connections have drawn many biblical archaeology researchers based on vindication of their own personal religious and spiritual beliefs. Gentile author and archaeologist Thomas L. Thompson has implied that biblical archaeologists are using their findings for the political motivation of a historic Judeo claim of heritage over Palestine. I met a fellow Ashkenazi archaeology student from Santa Monica in Belize this summer, and he told me the atmosphere in Israel was that you couldn't find a finger bone without it belonging to King David. Are the findings of biblical archaeologists subjective? Yes, but so are the criticisms aimed at them.